fellow NASCAR fans, for my second episode on NASCAR Heat 4. We will get right into it. Last episode, I talked a little bit about NASCAR and a little bit about how to run the tracks, but not all the tracks because I haven't gotten to them all yet. And how 3-star cars are different from 5-star cars. Of course, you do have 4-star cars in here, but I haven't actually driven one yet, so I'll go from 3 to 5. I am in 3 different series. I own 2 of the series. My own teams on 2 of the series, which I am not racing right now. I am racing. I am just not on one of those races right now. We will go back and look at my stats. Here is my personal stats. And here is overall stats. As you take time to look at them here. Extreme, 6 seasons, 4 championships. One of the seasons I did win all 14 races, which I thought was unfair for the computer. So after that season, I started not qualifying and starting in the back of the pack. So the computer guys actually have a chance to win if they can keep me from, well, taking the lead, which the dirt series might be hard for some people because, you know, you're driving in the dirt. It's not the same as asphalt. But if you've ever watched the first Cars, Hudson always says to drive on pavement, you need to learn to drive on dirt and turn left to go right. So, which means you're drifting through the turns. But I'm not going to talk about that right now because right now we have Talladega coming up in the Infinity Series, and then I have a hot seat in the Monster Series, which I'm thinking it's probably going to be at the same track of Talladega. So we're going to go back. View my reputation. I didn't do that. Here's all this. So you see, the Extreme Series, I have no rivals. Gander, I have no rivals. Infinity, I have one rival, but the dude's usually in the back of the pack, and I never see him, so... And when I do see him, it doesn't matter. I pass him anyways, or he passes me. So I am in 10th in points because I did simulate the Richmond race. I finished 20th in that race. So I went from 4th in points down to 10th. But it's not even halfway through the season yet, so you don't need to panic. And I got a few good tracks coming up as I'm going through the schedule here a little bit. Don't want to go all the way through it, but let's go ahead and get to Talladega here. The Super Speedway. It's a 2.5 mile oval. If I'm right, the record on this track was set by Bill Elliott at about 209 miles an hour, I think. I'm not 100% sure. Bill Elliott has been out of the sport for a while. He was one of my good drivers that I did like to watch. As far as Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace. I can go down the list, all the way to when I was a little kid and watching Cale Yarborough and the Allison brothers, Davey and Bobby, and I know a lot about NASCAR. So if you need any tips on how to drive or race the NASCAR game, I am willing to help. If you have any questions about a track or where the marker should be when you need to let off your gas pedal to go into the turn, because a lot of the turns on NASCAR, you do not need to hit your brake pedal. You take your foot off the gas pedal at a certain spot before you enter the turn and let the car slow down itself. Now, I've learned in racing to listen to your engine, not necessarily watch your RPM gauge, because it's hard to look at your RPM gauge when you're trying to look at what's in front of you. So I've always learned to listen to my engine. My engine tells me when I need to get back on the gas pedal. But since we are at Talladega today, we will not have to worry about that. And I have to put a setup on this car because there isn't one. Now, I've never really done these setups myself. I always go to YouTube, which I'm doing right now on my laptop here beside me. When I first started this game, I looked at this setup and I was like, I don't know what half of this stuff means. I know what some of it means, but I don't know how to adjust it to get it to race form. I know some of the guys probably do nothing but do setups on this game and don't really race. So I always look up race setup for a certain track, like 4, and I'll start putting in Talladega, T-A-L-L, Talladega, NASCAR, Heat 4. So you go into that, and let's see here, NASCAR Heat 4, Talladega setup. They will have one on there for Xbox One if you're on an Xbox One. Sorry about the music there. Somebody else's video, but I'm going to fast forward to the setup here, and I'm going to go ahead and pause that and do the setup for what he has on here. I do have it already set up in the other series, which is the truck series, but I have yet to race Talladega in this series because this is the first time I am in a 5-star car. The other times I've been in a 3-star car, and it's sad to say it's no fun racing the super speedways in a 3-star car, because it doesn't matter if you start anywhere within the top 20, you are going to drop back very fast, and you're going to wonder why it seems like your car cannot suck up into the draft. It's nothing wrong with your car or the setup or the aerodynamics. It has to do with horsepower. A 3-star have the horsepower of a 5-star car, and you 3-star car be able to drive fast, but you can't. Of course, it is the computer that can do whatever they want. Most people know that. Let's see here. Let me get this set up here. Looks like he's got his tire pressure all the way up to 59, which is, I think, the max on this. Now, another thing you got to watch is tire temperature when you're going around the tracks. One track I've noticed on here that tends to melt my right front tire is Chicagoland. It melts my right front tire almost 4 times faster than the rest of my tires. So I probably need to adjust the camber and maybe the front sway bar a little bit. But we'll talk about that when I get to Chicagoland. Right now, I want to focus on Talladega. It's like Daytona. It's a 2.5-mile oval. Talladega is a lot wider, though, as far as track surface goes. Daytona, room to move around like you would at Talladega. So let's get these tire pressures up here to 59. That's what the guy has on here. Now, I've learned that these race setups actually do help if you have a good enough car, provided you have decent driving experience to be able to put the car where you want it. Talladega and Daytona, you want to be aggressive, but you don't want to be too aggressive because you don't want to crash yourself. I have yet to be in a giant pileup because I've watched NASCAR for so long. I understand it. I watched them drive. I listened when they went inside the car, when the dude let off the gas pedal, how long it took before he got back on it. You could learn a lot by watching them on television or just videos in general, which are now on YouTube. You can pull up a lot of different NASCAR stuff on YouTube that other people have put on there. Go ahead and get this gearing here. Gearing at Talladega and Daytona, you want it very long and very stretched out because you're going to be reaching a very high speed. Not just the car itself, but when you enter the draft, you want to make sure you're not close to redlining, because you don't want to, let's say, go from 196 miles an hour to over 204 miles an hour and, well, blow your motor, because then your day would be over, obviously. So I got the setup. I saved the setup. You always want to make sure you save the setup, because next time you go back to the track, you will not have to do that again. So Talladega is a very big track. It takes more than one lap to get completely up to speed, because it is such a big track and your gears are so stretched out. Now, the key to Talladega is sitting on the bottom. Talladega is 3 lanes. I have seen in real life them go 5 wide down the back stretch and stuff like that. It can be done. And there can be some really big wrecks on here, but this is a video game. I've yet to see a big giant pile up. And even though my damage engine is turned on to real life damage, sometimes the cars don't get damaged like you think they would in real life, because it is a video game. So I'm at 192 right now. I'm still not at top speed. Try to put down a decent lap this time. See if I can reach that 48-second lap time. Of course, a car by itself at any of these tracks is not fast enough to win, because you need the draft. If you're running by yourself and you have 2 or 3 other cars lined up, more than likely they are going to be going faster than you, unless somehow you build a car like Jeff Gordon's black car that was just so fast nobody could touch it anyways. So I get up to speed here, run a couple practice laps, then I'll qualify. You don't need a lot of practice laps here. Doesn't really necessarily mean wherever you qualify is where you're going to finish, because of course you need the draft in order to finish anyways. If you do not have the draft, you'll lose the race. So now I do 50% race length on this game. I don't do 100% because it's too time consuming. It isn't that I have anything else to do in my day. I don't play games all day, so I just started this YouTube channel today. I've already posted 1 video. This is my second. I did not do a race in my first video, but I will do this race. I'm going to do this practice lap here. If nobody catches me, that's fine. I'm not worried about actually trying to reach that goal time. You should not worry about trying to reach the goal time, because even if you reach the goal time, it does not necessarily mean you're going to get the pole position, because a lot of times your goal time is still slower than the qualifying time. But like tracks like this, you just need to focus on trying to stay on the bottom if you want to win. If you get out front, you got to sit on the bottom the whole time. If you raise up out of the bottom line, you will more than likely get passed, and passed by more than just 1 car. So and it can be frustrated when it comes down to the end of the race and you mess up or something and get yourself out of the bottom line, because cars will pile up underneath you. I did do that first time at Talladega. I got excited. It was down to 5 laps to go, and I was dumb enough to try to pass the leader on the outside. I would have passed him, except I got no draft help pushing behind me, which caused me to fall back because all the cars behind me decided to go to the low side of the track. I did drop back to 5th place, but I did ended up finishing 3rd that race. So I am done practicing. I'm going to go ahead and go to next session and qualify and see where I start for today's race. Normally when you pull out, you don't want to pull out right away, especially during practice or race day, because cars might be going by, so you stay on what they call the apron down here. Now, at tracks like this, usually you can run it full speed all the way through. Some of the other tracks, you need to let off as you're coming to the turn, off the last turn onto the backstretch, because if you try to full throttle it, more than likely you're going to spin out unless you pull out onto the racetrack. You don't want to pull out in front of people. So let's see here. Go ahead and I got 2 laps of qualifying here, because they want a chance for you to get up to speed. I am on lap 1 of qualifying. Some of the smaller tracks, you only get 1 lap because it doesn't take, well, it doesn't take the whole track to get up to speed on the other tracks, except for Talladega and Daytona. Now, one thing I've done throughout all my 6 seasons on here, I have yet to do any of the road course tracks. It's not that I can't drive road course tracks, because I do race a Gran Turismo, and I raced a lot of the Forzas on the Xbox 360. Of course, I can't race those anymore because they took them offline. I hardly raced Gran Turismo online because I was so used to Forza. But I've always liked NASCAR. NASCAR, I grew up loving because I remember sitting in front of my first race. I still don't remember which track it was. One track I did like out of NASCAR was Rockingham, but they took it out, and I really don't know why. Whether or not they're going to put it back in, they don't even know. So, I love the Rock. Yet to put it back into NASCAR. So, and I know there's a lot of other NASCAR fans out there that did like The Rock. So, okay, I had a text message. I had to check it really quick. I am starting a 27th. I always check to see where my teammates are starting to see if I need to help them. A lot of times I get behind them, but they don't really go any faster. Okay, I got one starting 13th, Brandon Jones. The other one is Jeffrey Earnhardt starting 11th. Those are my teammates. Okay, I'm starting 25th now, which means something happened to somebody else's car and they got pushed to the back. So we'll go on ahead and get started here at Talladega. So Talladega Super Speedway. As my teammate did fail pre-race qualifying inspections, so he will be in the back. But it's his job to get to the front, not mine. So we're gonna go. Talladega is a very fun track. It is very exciting of a track too, but it can also be a very dangerous track like Daytona because it is so fast. Once you get up to speed, you will notice. And there is bump drafting. Don't be afraid to bump somebody in the back. Just don't slam them in the back. That was kind of a hard hit, but you know, you bump around a bit. It's trying to get people to get moving, put their foot down on the gas pedal. You know, it's hard to race NASCAR if you're scared. So, and the focus is to stay in the draft and focus on what's going on in front of you. You can pretty much take any line you want. So I am doing 56 laps. There will be a pit stop, whether or not it's during a caution. Of course, we don't know yet. Sometimes you don't want to pit too early, because if you do, they might bring out a caution flag and it could ruin your race. So now, you can be patient and work your way to the front, or you can try to just be aggressive and drive all the way to the front. But since there's so many laps, it's better just to be patient. I usually sit on the bottom, because if you get on the high side, you might get impatient wanting to get back to the bottom, and it creates a lot of havoc because there's too many cars. So my option to you is to just stay on the bottom. Make it easier for yourself to race Daytona or Talladega. They are two tracks that if you want to win, you got to be on the bottom. If you're on the top, it is very hard to win if you have nobody behind you pushing you. Now, some guys like to run up right by the wall. I usually don't, because I'm using a controller, not a steering wheel. So I got to tap my steering wheel rather than just turn it like you would a real steering wheel. So it's harder to run against the wall. You do get computer guys that seem like they don't know how to drive their car. If you barely hit them, they tend to slide all over the place like they don't know what they're doing. Of course, that's just a computer. I'm the user, you know, Ready Player One, so. Going to get moving up through the field here. I am now in 10th place. Cars will tend to single file sometimes. Sometimes they don't. People like to bounce back and forth. It's okay if you want to run high for a lap or two and then, you know, get all the way up to the front, lead a few laps, and then let somebody else lead. That's fine. If you want to get up front and lead the whole race, you got to sit on the bottom of the track and not let anybody get below you. As soon as you raise up too high, the car behind you is probably going to go underneath your car. I drive on the roof cam because I can see the front of my car a lot easier than any of the other cameras. So I know when somebody's on my rear end. I feel it. I've driven enough video games I've driven a car in real life. Of course, I've never had anybody on my back bumper in real life, but if you race NASCAR enough, you'll know when somebody hits you in the back. Some tracks, they'll like to hit you in the back while you're going through the turn. I think it's to their advantage, because what ends up happening is they push you through the turn, and then they dive underneath you after you go so high through the turn. I do have a teammate right here. I just bumped him in the back. The Chased-In guy, I raced with him in the Gander Outdoor Series. He's one of the top drivers in the Gander Outdoor Series, and he is still one of the top drivers in this series as well. But I am going to push my teammate out front here. I'm just going to try to sit behind him for a little bit. But he is running the high line, and I don't really like the high line, so I'm going to go low on him. But I can't pass him because there's nobody on my bumper. A lot of times to pass people here, either you need to run up on them with a far distance draft, or you need somebody behind you to push you past them. You can do a slingshot, but like I said, you got to be back so far to gain your speed up to get past him. Unless you dive down like that. I had more speed, but of course I got a car behind me now. So I'm going to head and lead a lap here. It's fun leading these races. Being out front is a lot of fun. But you got to watch your mirror a lot, unless you just sit on the bottom and don't worry about nothing else and just focus. And I literally mean on the bottom, so sit right on that yellow line all the way around the racetrack. If you raise up by the wall, people are going to pass you, but that's racing. You can't win them all. If you try to win them all, you must be racing on a different level than expert, which is what I'm on. If you race on rookie level, which I haven't done, it's probably too easy. I'd end up winning every race anyways. I've been playing racing games since I was 3 years old. My first racing game was Al Unser Jr. Racing. If anybody remembers that, it was like Indy cars. That was my first racing game. And then I got the test drive game where you drove a Porsche, Lamborghini, and a Ferrari. If anybody remembers that game. We are almost done with lap 9 out of 56. Fuel, I got about 26 laps of fuel left. And you do have to watch tire heat. At tracks like this, your tire heat doesn't really get that high. I'm running in the middle now. So you got to focus. I got a car below me, a car behind me, a car on the high side. Okay, now I'm on the high side, another car below. You can sit right here in the middle lane here. So, people bumping me up. People yelling outside, taking me off focus here. Trying not to pause it. I do have a cigarette burning, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it real quick. Take a hit of my cigarette and a drink of my beer. We'll turn this fan on in front of me. Hopefully it doesn't make too much noise. And back to racing. You always want to pause it when you're on a straightaway, never in a turn, because sometimes you'll pause it for a long period of time and you'll forget where you are on the racetrack. So I'm running on the high side now, so I'm kind of high. I don't like getting right up into that last lane because that is just too high for me, unless I'm going down the backstretch. So drop back a little bit, let some other people lead, let the pack shift up. Still got plenty of time. The only thing you want to worry about racing these tracks is where you are at the end of the race. When it comes down to 10 laps to go, if you're within the top 10, you're probably pretty good to go. You just got to find a way to get to the bottom before the last 3 laps. If you don't, you probably won't have a chance to finish first. So I'm just going to sit up here. I can't move down right now. I check my rearview mirror every few seconds. Just move my eyes up, check my rearview mirror. I have raced, let's see here, I've raced Talladega races in the truck series. I've probably raced 6 Talladega races, and I've won 5 out of the 6. As you see of my stats that I showed you earlier, I am pretty decent at driving NASCAR and winning. I do have fun with it. It is a sport I do enjoy. Trying to wait on my teammate Jeffrey Earnhardt. If I have to, I will sit on the high side and wait till I see him, because I like all my teammates up front. In the truck series, when I was on a team before I created my own team, me and my teammate Brett Moffitt was my teammate, and I was driving the Sheldon Creed truck, the number 2 truck. There were some races where we would finish within the top 5, both of us. One race we actually finished first and second. It's nice to help your teammates, because that makes your team look better, even though they don't look at that on the video game like they do in real life. Oh, I am back in 13th place now out of 38. Try to focus, listen to your spotter. That's why he's there. Sometimes he doesn't always talk. You gotta know what's around you when you're doing this. You gotta know you got a car low. You gotta know you got a car on the high side. You might bump people here and there on the side of their door, in the back bumper. They might bump you, but rubbing's racing. If the computer guys get mad because you touched their pretty little car, just ignore it. Compliment them, you know, make it sound like a joke. You know, you crashed me into the wall. Compliment, yeah, I know, thank you. I had a guy do that the last race. He got underneath me and he pretty much pushed me into the wall. So when I caught back up to him, I kind of did the same thing to him just for payback. And he kind of got mad, but, you know, I still complimented him on it. If you get guys as your friends, it's very hard to get them as a rival if they become your friend first. If they become a rival first, it takes a long time for you to get them as a friend, because they might not talk to you. We got somebody up here with a blowing motor. We got our first caution out. Somebody blew his motor sky high. We got smoke all over the place. So we're not pitting yet. You don't want to pit too early. You don't want to cost yourself the race. So that's Mike Harmon. He did win Daytona earlier this year. So nobody else is pitting, so I am not going to pit, because sometimes if you pit too early, you will mess yourself up later in the race, because you will have to pit again. Now, a lot of times on the super speedways, you only have to change the right side tires. As you see, my left side tires are still 90% and 87%, while my rights are 71 and 70. A lot of times, it's pit strategy that wins a lot of these races. Pit strategy wins a lot of races, and whether or not your pit team messes up. So, restarting the race, going to lap 19 out of 56. 56 laps on these tracks take a lot longer than it would 56 laps on any of the other tracks, because it is a lot longer track, obviously. So, 2.5 mile oval. You look outside and you think, how big is a 2.5 mile oval? Well, go outside and, well, think how long 2.5 miles would be going straight, and then, well, make it in a circle. A lot of times at these big track venues, they have all 3 series show up for the whole weekend. The truck series, the series I'm in now, which a long time ago was called the Busch series, and then you got what used to be the Winston Cup that I grew up with. Then they changed it to the Nextel Cup, and now it's the Monster series. So but since they didn't want to promote smoking anymore, they got rid of the Winston Cup. So, and they pretty much don't promote beer anymore either. So I am moving back to the front. My teammates right here beside me. Number 19. I still do not know where Jeffrey Earnhardt is, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's his job to move up, not me to drop back to help him. Even though I could if I wanted to. But I don't know how far back he is, because I do not have a position list, and I am not sure how to pull it up if there is one available in the options menu to pull up. Some of the older NASCAR games, they had a position list on there where you knew what position you was in, but they also showed all the other cars around you. I did play the NASCAR game for the Xbox 360 when it came back out after EA Sports lost his contract, but I did not like that NASCAR that much. It was too easy, and I didn't even have to set the car up to make it to win. So it was too easy to win. I didn't enjoy it. So I am going to drop out from behind leader here, and I am going to try to take the lead and lead a few more laps. It helps if you can get the most laps led. In real life, you get 5 bonus points for leading the lap, and then 5 more bonus points for leading the most laps. As far as I know, in this game, they do not do that. Now, in the next race is a hot seat race. I'll probably be in a 3-star car if it is at Talladega. And I will probably end up losing the race. So, I might have to simulate it to see if the computer can give me a better finish. I don't know why I would lose it, but I have every time I've tried to race a 3-star car on these tracks. I'm not saying I can only win in a 5-star car. It just makes it easier to win in a 5-star car, because you know you got the power to get to the front of the pack. It's always more fun to be able to run out front at these big tracks than to sit in the back and go down laps every, well, 15 laps. You'd probably end up losing a lap. Of course, the computer doesn't fall back on these tracks because they somehow can get the 3-star car to actually work in it. I don't know if it's something I do, or I just don't like the car enough to try hard enough, I guess. So I am going to rise up high here and let somebody else take the lead. So another drink. I don't want to drink too much because, of course, It's hard to drive NASCAR when you're drunk because, of course, they never do it in real life. Kind of got myself into the wall there a little bit. But it's okay on tracks like this as long as you don't start pinballing off all the other cars. Can you get your car back up to speed again? As you see, I'm doing 198 miles an hour. Of course, racing the game, you don't look like you're going that fast. But if you were to watch the replay and watch the cars flying by the cameras, then you'd get to see about how fast you're going. And it is pretty fast if you've ever watched it in real life. Especially at venues like Daytona and Talladega, which are the super speedways of America that NASCAR races on. They are very popular tracks. I have never actually been to one. I've never actually been to a real NASCAR race. The last race I went to was the Columbus 500 out of Columbus, Ohio, which is sort of where I live now. I live a little bit west in a little town called West Jefferson. But I remember watching that race and watching Bobby Rahal, which is from Columbus, Ohio, and has a race team in Columbus, Ohio, win that race that day. I was a little kid. I was very excited to go watch it when my dad said we were going to watch a race. I was very, very happy. All day I was happy. And I was watching, old school prototypes. Of course, prototypes have changed a lot. So is a lot of cars and racing, like the stock cars that we are driving. Even though they are called stock cars, they're nowhere near stock. So NASCAR is a fun sport. So it's fun to watch. Some people don't get into it because they're like, how can I sit here and watch these cars drive around in circles and do nothing but turn left, straight, turn left, straight, turn left, straight. I hear that a lot. It's more than just turn left, straight. If you're actually trying to drive it, it's fun, but it can be scary at times, trust me. I've heard of drivers' comments where they were scared out their butt when they got into a wreck. Because, of course, you are going almost 200 miles an hour. In a normal car, probably the highest speed you probably wreck at is about 45 to 55 miles an hour. If you do get into a car accident. Which my advice to you, if you don't want to get into a car accident, leave your radio alone, leave your phone alone, and focus on the road. Don't try to go too fast. Watch your mirrors constantly, because you never know when somebody's going to do something retarded on the road. Just like in the NASCAR. You never know when somebody's going to do something dumb. So we got 11 laps before pit stops. 10 laps left on that. I will turn that back on here in a minute so I can know exactly which lap I need to pit on. Unless a caution comes out, and then we, of course, will pit during the caution. The thing about Talladega and Daytona is you don't want to pit and then go down a lap and then a caution come out, because a lot of times that will ruin your race, because it's the type of track where you cannot pass the leader and then drive all the way around the track to pass him again. Some tracks you can do that if you're fast enough, like Bristol, for instance. If you can get your car fast enough. I've been so fast at Bristol, I put every car down a lap Sometimes I thought I was going so fast I could put myself down a lap, which seems kind of funny and complete nonsense, but sometimes it seems like that. So I will turn that back on and watch my fuel. It says 9 laps. It's probably about to drop to 8 here in a little bit. So it does not drop down every single time you do a lap. 1 lap of fuel, you might be able to do 1 lap and almost 75% of the second lap. You might be able to do 2 full laps. Okay, I got somebody coming under me here. I'm going to raise up. Okay, it went to 8 now. Let some guys pass. So, but you go to the pits, you want to make sure you're on the bottom, of course. You don't want to be on the high side and say, oh crap, I got a pit, and then try to dive through the field. You know, if you want to be a good NASCAR driver on the game, not saying you could use this, and you probably could use this and learn how to do it in real life. Best place to start is probably with go-karts. You can go to Magic Mountain Fun Centers or other go-kart locations and learn how to drive a go-kart first if you're a little kid. Go-karts are fun. Don't be scared to go fast and put the pedal down. Okay, there's nobody on the bottom, so I am going to drop back down. And I am going to push this Custer guy and just sit behind him. He is in a Ford Mustang GT. I am in a Toyota Supra. So 7 laps of fuel left. I am going to pass him because he drove high and I didn't feel like driving back high. There's 6 laps of fuel left. Lap 34 of 56, so we got about 20 laps left. My left side tires are at 79 and 76%, so I will probably not change my left side tires because there is no need to change them because they are not below 50% yet. And since there's only 20 laps to go, they probably won't even get to 50%. So if you're in the same boat I am, change them because pit strategy is a key to winning NASCAR, especially on tracks like Daytona and Talladega and other various tracks. You can move up a lot of positions using pit strategy or having a fast pit crew. Sorry about that. This is my second YouTube video. I have been running 49 minutes. My first video was about 20 minutes long. This one is going to be probably close to an hour, if not over that. So 4 laps remaining on estimated fuel. You want to run it till it gets to about 3 to 2. So if it drops to 3 before I cross the start-finish line, I will do that lap and then pull into the pits next time around. So, which now it's lap 56. I have 20 laps now because he just said it. So if it drops to 3 during this lap, I will go on ahead and pull in. If it drops to 3 when I'm almost done with the lap, I will do one more. You do not want to run out of fuel. Okay, it dropped to 3 now. I could probably do one more lap. I'm going to go ahead and push it. Pit road, there is a pit speed. You need to know when to pull off the track. You don't want to pull off too early. I will do one more lap here before I go into the pits, and the computer should not be too far behind. My game lagged right there, which made me go down. You got to watch that sometimes on tracks like this. The game will lag on you. So I will go ahead and pit this time around. Because it says 2 laps now. I don't want to try to push it. So I am going to pull off the track and go into the pits. So I will not get all my fuel. I will go ahead and get 1 can for 17 laps. I will do right side tires only, and yes, I will fix my damage since it only takes 1 second. So we will go ahead and do this pit stop and hope that there is no caution while I am in here. Or a caution after you pull out. As long as I'm still on the lead lap when I pull out, it's okay. Some tracks, you will go down a lap while you're in the pits. And if a caution comes out, you are down a lap. Unless you get the free pass, will you be back on the lead lap? Sometimes you'll be down a lap and you have to wait for another caution before you do get put back on the lead lap. So, some other cars are pitting. I am going to light up a cigarette. Okay. I finished 1 beer already, so I got a decent buzz from the 1 beer. But I don't want to get too drunk, because then I will start driving like a retard, like I'm drunk. So, for any adults that have been drunk, you know what I mean. It's hard to drive a racing game when you're drunk and do any good, unless you're by yourself and nobody's bothering you. You got to watch other cars coming out of the pits. You got to stay on the high side. You don't want to go low, because you don't want to slam into them. I'm going 191. They're probably going 140. That wouldn't be good. So that would mess your car up really badly. And tracks like this, you need aerodynamics. Tracks like Bristol and Martinsville, they consider those tracks to be banger tracks. Why do they call them banger tracks? Because you got a bunch of cars in a little spot. I always say, it's easier to make a slow car go fast than it is for a fast car to go slow. Why is that? Because a fast car is meant to go fast, not slow. But that's talking Gran Turismo. If I do Gran Turismo video, I will talk to you about that and explain to you why it's harder for a fast car to go on a slow track than it is for a slower car to go on a fast track. So, I am back in the 15th place. I'm going to go low and pass these guys. We still have the leader behind us that has not pit yet. Right now the field is kind of stretched out. Hopefully a caution does not come out, because then that would make for a boring finish, because it would be too easy for me to get to the front if that was to happen. So but 2 or more cars can run faster than a car by itself. We are going to try to push up to this next car here. Now, we will probably go right past him, and he'll have to tuck in behind us. So, we are on lap 42 of 56. It looks like the leader is pitting. Maybe he is not. So, of course, he had pit earlier, which could mean bad news for us, because he'll automatically win unless something happens like a caution. Which at this point, for any of us to have a chance to win, we need that caution flag. Because where he is on the track, we just exited the backstretch. He just entered the backstretch. He was the guy that pitted earlier. Mike Harmon, number 74. He pitted earlier. It's going to be very hard to catch up. So the most I can do is try to get as many positions as I can before the end. And my goal position in this race is to finish 5th or higher. So I need to catch these cars in front of me as fast as I can, because I am running out of laps. Which I am catching them slowly, but that's NASCAR. You got to be patient. Unless you're on a really, really easy level, it takes a while to catch people. Even if you're on a smaller track, it can still take a while to catch people, because you got to take your foot off going into the turn, adjust your speed, adjust your angle through the turn. Only super speedways and tracks like Atlanta do you... Well, the super speedways, you pretty much don't have to take your foot off the gas unless something happens and you have to lift your foot up. Atlanta, I barely have to take my foot off the gas. I take it up for maybe half a second to a whole second, and then I'm right back on the gas pedal. Trying to catch these guys. Of course, nobody's pushing me, so that makes it take longer to catch them. And not just because they're not pushing me, it's because they decided to help each other. I just need to get behind them, and hopefully we catch back up to these guys. I'm going to head and pass him and get to the next car. That right there could be a lifesaver. So it looks like Mike Harmon and Zane Smith got together up front. They are both pitting. Somebody else is pitting. This could have been what we needed. It is what we needed to have a chance to win this race. Because where he was out front, I would never have a chance to win. But we are going to have, it looks like 10 laps to go, which is good, because that's the time when stuff starts getting crazy at tracks like this, which is about 10 laps to go. And if you ever watched it in real life, that's when stuff gets really crazy. So, okay, I am up to 5th now because people had to pit. So, I got kind of a bad start there, but I got cars behind me. They will push me. Okay, we got less than that. I got 7 laps to go. But don't panic. Don't panic. Just drive. Stay on the bottom. Cars will eventually get up to speed. You might drop back, but be patient. Once you get up to speed, if you know what you're doing, you can pass them really fast. So, it's just getting your car up to speed. Sometimes they get up to speed faster because they get a better jump. But get up to speed. Don't panic. Panicking is the worst thing you can do. Or like I did when I won my first Daytona race, I got really excited. Actually, when I did first win it in the Gander Truck Series, I came off of turn 4 and all the computer drivers backed off and let me out there all by myself. That way they had no chance to pass me at all unless I hit my brake pedal or took my own foot off the gas or crashed my own car. So, you want to be patient. It's a big track. It takes a while to do 6 laps. So, take about 4.5 minutes to do 6 laps in real life. So, you got plenty of time to get there. Trying to help the number 08 because he's one of my rivals, but he's being kind of mean right now, pushing me off the track. So, because he is a rival, when you get rivals on here, they like to beat you up and try to keep you behind them. So the best thing to do is not create a bunch of rivals. Now, guys will try to keep you from winning if they know you're one of the top drivers. They will try to block you. That was me. I kind of pulled out and then clipped his rear end. That was my fault. Luckily, he didn't do nothing. So, you want to move to the front, but you do not want to try to go to the high side. That will mess you up, and it will make you mad because you will not win. That was my fault there. So, let me get back on the track here. I am in 4th now. Going to have 3 laps to go next time by. So, going ahead and get this race finished up here so I can end this episode and begin to start episode number 3 of Learning to Drive NASCAR with Chris Shirley or avoidablefawn39. Learning to drive NASCAR is very fun, but it helps if you have knowledge of NASCAR in order to drive it. Now, I am in 2nd place. I could pass him and just sit on the bottom. I will let him lead one more lap, which is this lap, and then I will pass him. And then I will sit on the bottom and hope I get the victory today of this live video feed from Talladega, Alabama, Talladega Super Speedway, one of the most famous tracks in all of NASCAR, one of the biggest tracks in all of NASCAR, and it's actually bigger than 2.5 miles. It's actually 2.47 miles to be exact. Actually, that's less than 2.5. It's probably 2.67 miles that I'm thinking. So, I am going to swing out and pass him down the back stretch here. Try to pass him. I have nobody behind me right now, so it's just going to be a drag race between me and him, which he's still winning because I don't have nobody. But cars will pile up behind me here. And I move past him. So now I just have to sit on the bottom here and do this final lap we are about to take here at Talladega Superspeedway. Chris Shirley driving the number 20 Ream car Toyota Supra for Joe Gibbs Racing is out front on the final lap. Stay focused on that yellow line through your left eye. Don't let the sun bother you. Sit right on the bottom. Do not move up. Just sit there. Don't even focus behind you in your mirror. You want to keep your mirror on though. Don't turn it off because you got to know what's going on. Coming off the final turn here. Down the front stretch. Cars are going to try to go out to my high side and pass me. I can bump him a little bit, try to slow him down. I got a car coming underneath. Oh! Oh, we got it. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to do a burnout because it is so much fun to win at Talladega. I could go back to the grass here and do a burnout on the grass. Get some donuts going here. Some donuts. All right. How's that victory? Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen. I will not watch the replay because if you watch the video, of course, you're pretty much watching the replay. So I am going ahead and I'm going to see where my teammates finished. Right now, not so good. So, actually, not good at all. They finished 27th and 29th. So, but I am not going to worry about my teammates right now. I'm going to get my money. And I raised from 10th place in points back to 3rd. Just with one race. So, a lot can happen in point standings. I am for my victory. Okay. I got the most laps led with 13. That's kind of shocking. With only 13 laps has the most laps led. But at tracks like this, that can actually happen because the lead changes so many different times. So, and I did set the fastest lap at 48.820 seconds. Which these cars are not as fast as the Monster Series cars. So, I'm going ahead and finish this event. So that is Talladega. If you have any questions or comments about Talladega on how to run it or how to stay in the draft or how to move forward or let's see here. What else can I think of to say to help you out? So that is that race done. Going to the hot seat race, which I will do in my next episode. I am not sure what track I am on, so I am going to enter it. And it looks like it is at Talladega. I'll be driving the number 47 car at Talladega this Sunday, get a top 33 finish, and we might consider working with you in the future. But it is a 3-star car, so And I don't know whether it is a Chevy Camaro, a Ford Mustang, or a Toyota Camry. So I will go to race now and get it set up for the next episode. So any questions or comments about the NASCAR tracks, except the road courses, because I have not raced those yet on here, even though I am in Season 6. The only road course I do race is in the Dirt Series, the Jefferson Raceway. I do get tired of it because it seems to be more cautions than you actually do race. So, but I am going ahead and end this episode. I'm going to exit back out of here and then go back into it to start my next episode. So, have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. If you love NASCAR like I do, this was a race from Talladega Superspeedway. My next race will be from Talladega, but it is 94 laps. And, of course, I am in a 3-star car. So, the best of luck to me that I can get that top 33 finish. If I fall back and lose the draft, I probably will not finish the race. I will simulate it because I do not want to sit in the back and not be able to race and sit there and go down laps constantly and never have a chance to get that top 33 finish. So, this is all from this episode. Have a good day, and bye-bye.